Jaga. Tunggu dah. Cak semua. Cak semua.
Jatuh rekong hajar.
Habis kalau dia ajak tak nak? Kalau dia ajak tak nak?
Boleh.
Dia ni buat ni. Sajak pula.
Aku dah pelajak. Joget lagi. Lagi nengira.
Dia nak tengok cara si joget ni.
Dia nak tengok cara joget.
Ini orang nak panggil. Ini orang nak panggil joget. Joget sikit. Dia Alia, tahu. Orang sayang, gesek. Tahu lagi dah. Nyanyi. Tikau ya kuat. Tikau di dalam pau. Kelor-kelor juga. Kelor-kelor. Pau tidak tergulam lagi. Makanan. Betul ya. Jauh tuan akang. Jaki jauh, adik pun jauh. Ngalah sayang. Jauh tidak lagi. Lah tergulang lagi. Dia orang lagi. Macam mana lah aku ni? Betul. Entak dia sikit suara tu. Alah. Ketat-ketat kalau sikit.
Nanti dia orang dapat.
Sampai bah? Sampai bah dekat situ. Macam kau nak, kau tengok. Kau tak pandang.
Everyone startles, some of us very readily and very strongly. This is Che Rahmakamis. This is Che Maimun Hussein. In Malaysia, persons who startle readily and strongly, like Che Rahma and Che Mun, are called latas. Lata is also the name of the behavior complex built around hyperstartling. The woman facing us is Hajah Misabane. She's a lata. She's 70 years old. Her lata began when she was 62.
Speak. How long have you been like this? A long time? 8 years now. It began when my mother died. I was very sad. I was sitting quietly like this, thinking my mother is gone. Someone came from behind. He grabbed me and said, "What's up?" I was startled. My body trembled like this. My mind went blank. When my body stopped trembling, he teased me again. I picked up a stick and hit him. I couldn't think. What could I know? Later, wherever I went, people liked to watch me. They thought I was pretending. They poked me over and over until I became ill.
The man in the suit is Pawang Luman, an indigenous healer. His wife, Chit Layut Ali, is a lata.
Mula-mula dia terperanjat.
At first, one is merely startled. One sees a centipede, or a snake, or coconut leaf falls, and one is startled. Then someone sees that happen. Later, when he sees me again, perhaps he will poke me in the ribs. After a while, something can happen.
Itulah macam orang tak ada latah.
Take an ordinary person like Betsy here. If she's startled,
Semangat dia tu dah tu terbang lah.
whenever you see her, you poke her in the ribs.
Bila tuan nampak cocok. Lama-lama itu dia punya akal pun macam satu.
After a while, she'll get very flustered.
Dia cakap apa-apa
She'll say whatever comes out.
Dia kata,
If you tell her to dance, she'll dance.
bila
If you poke her in the ribs whenever you see her, she will do this too. That's what it's like.
This is Sidang Hussein Dalip. He's the village headman. Tapi kalau orang cocok Datuk Sida.
Ya.
If someone poked you in the ribs every day, would you become a latah or not?
Kalau cocok sama-sama
If it were done face to face like this, I think not.
Tapi kalau di belakang,
But if it were done from behind and over, I think I would become a latah too.
tapi kalau saya
But not if I caught sight of the person doing it. But if a person is latah, one can put her into a latah state even from the front. Because they are so easily startled? Yes. If we don't poke them in the ribs, they don't become latah. If we keep poking a normal person like that, he will become a latah. It doesn't take long. 5 days poking over and over. Little by little, a person gets quite flustered. Not everyone is a latah, right? Only certain ones. Like me, I'm a latah.
Itu macam Cik Ma.
Like Cik Ma, she's a latah.
Itu macam Padang.
In the village here, only certain ones. Not everyone, no.
Kalau semua itu macam
If everyone were like that, it would be like the whole world was crazy.
As Che Layut points out, not everyone becomes a latah. Many of the villagers think that a tendency to latah runs in families. Nenek Kamsiat Na thinks so, but she's not quite sure.
Once it starts, it becomes hereditary. If a mother is latah, her children will be too. Still, my mother was latah and I and my children aren't. Sometimes a mother is latah and her children are too. Grandmother is latah. My mother was latah, but I'm not. My brothers and sisters aren't either.
The role of heredity in latah, if any, is uncertain. One thing that is certain is that the overwhelming majority of latahs are women. Villagers say this is because women have less semangat, or soul substance, than men. They also point out that it's safer to startle women.
Many more women than men are latah. There aren't many men.
jadi orang perempuan dia punya semangat atau dia
Women's
berfikiran
semangat is a bit weaker than men's.
daripada orang laki-laki. Jadi orang laki-laki
Men have rather stronger semangat.
Sangat orang semangat orang laki-laki.
Men's semangat
Dia
is a bit
kuat
stronger
sedikit. Sebab dia punya
because even their
tenaga
physical
pun
strength
lebih baik dia
is greater than women's.
sebab orang laki-laki kalau dia menjadi
Because
orang
if a
yang
man becomes
sudah
latah,
dia bila
when
orang
people
cocok,
poke him
dia
suddenly in the
boleh
ribs,
jadi
he might
kuat
become strong.
sikit. Nanti takut dia orang pukul.
So people
Tapi
fear
kalau
he's
orang
striking
perempuan,
back.
Dia orang
But people don't fear
tidak
women
berapa
much
takut, sebab dia
because
perempuan,
they're
dia
weaker.
lemah sikit.
orang takut cucu.
People are afraid to poke and startle men. Even other men don't like to do it to each other. It's women who like to poke each other. When they're sitting around, someone pokes someone, someone else pokes someone else. Women are shy about poking men.
Shy or afraid?
Shy? Well, shy and afraid too.
Muhammad Hassan Rahmat is the only man in the village who admits to being Latah, though the villagers told us of 2 others. Ever since he was young, Tok Muhammad Hassan has been teaching bersilat, the Malay art of self-defense. When he's startled, he assumes bersilat poses. When startled, both ordinary persons and Latahs sometimes hit out. In this case, the woman hitting out is a Latah, Cik Arah Lemon. When startled, both ordinary persons and Latahs often blurt out something that they normally wouldn't say, usually something silly or holy or obscene.
Is it always that Makcik can be startled so easily?
Oh, black and blue prick.
What just happened?
Apa yang berlaku tadi, Makcik?
Budak jolok.
A boy poked me.
What was it that Makcik said after that?
Apakah Makcik cakap tadi itu?
What did I say?
Ada orang cucuk tadi. Apa yang Makcik kata tadi itu?
Apa orang cakap konek lebam?
I said black and blue prick.
Bukan, konek.
What Cik Rahma said is indecent by Malay standards, and she'd never say it in ordinary speech. However, she's been startled, so it's excused. It's just considered part of Latah and funny. Sometimes, when a Latah is poked over and over, she becomes so flustered that her speech gets very scrambled.
Paint, make small flowers. Growing, make small flowers like the foot cover. Take it near the kitchen. Below. Go and take it. Go and take the foot cover. Like this, then paint it. Go and take it near the rice. Kitchen door. There isn't any.
After being startled, Latahs become highly aroused. Though her friends try to quiet her, it's hard for Cik Mah to settle down.
Jangan ni sudah. Ngucap.
Bangun.
Quiet, it's finished.
Tutup muka.
Notice how intently Cik Ahra watches me. When someone is startled and highly aroused, his or her attention is focused narrowly.
Can you ask her for me? Was she really startled when Cik Asma hit the ground? Was she really startled or not? This narrowed attention tends to be caught by prominent or unusual objects, like our shotgun microphone and our camera.
takut.
Tak sana.
Yeah.
Dia berdebuk lah, tembak.
Ini apa buahan?
Tembak. Udah.
After a Latah is startled, movements may also capture her attention, and often she will match them.
You can make her dance.
Aroused and with attention narrowed and fixed, some Latahs not only match movements, but also do what others order them to do, if they're flustered enough and if they're commanded forcefully enough.
When she's sitting quietly, we can take a piece of wood and bang it. Or we can poke her in the ribs over and over and she'll become Latah. She gets startled. Then if we order her to hit or dance, she'll hit or dance. And she'll do whatever we tell her to do with what she's holding. Whoever is in front of her will be hit. That's what a Latah does. If someone pokes and startles me and orders me to do something, I won't know what I'm doing. I might even take off my clothes. She only gets flustered if she's poked and startled. If we were just to tell her normally to take off her clothes, she wouldn't do it. But if she were poked and startled first, she might.
Spouses and other family members can't do much to protect Latahs. Latahs are considered fair game.
I don't believe there is anything we can do. We can't scold much because this kind of teasing is considered acceptable. But if it's too extreme, we can scold a little. It happened to my sister at a wedding. People kept startling her with pokes in the ribs over and over. After she became Latah, they ordered her to do all sorts of things, and she did whatever they ordered. Finally, someone ordered her to take her clothes off, and she did that too. She didn't know what was happening, so she just stripped off. When she took her clothes off, the people around her were embarrassed, and her children were embarrassed too. One of her children got very angry. He gave her a stick and told her to hit the person teasing her. But instead of hitting him, she smashed all the dishes and plates. Her children were furious and they took her home. When she came to her senses, she was ashamed. It wasn't right or fair to do what they did to her, ordering her to strip. Startling her should have been enough. When she's that flustered, she doesn't know what she's doing. Whatever they ordered, she did. Like a person without shame.
Although they may be embarrassed, Latahs are not considered responsible either morally or legally for what they do after being startled.
A long time ago, I heard a story. It happened when the British governed here. When the British were here, there was a court in Pangkalan Balak. Major Bawal was the judge. He was responsible for sentencing. One time, a Latah was holding a knife when someone came up from behind, startled her with a poke and ordered, "Stab." Right away she stabbed, and she stabbed a man to death. When the victim died, she was arrested by the police. A while later, when the time for the trial came, she was taken to court. During the hearing, the judge asked, "Why did you kill that man?" She said, "I didn't know what I was doing. When I killed him, I didn't know anything. I'm a Latah, and someone poked me and startled me. I didn't intend to kill anybody. I lost my reason because I was startled by a poke in the ribs. And when I was ordered to stab, right away I stabbed. Because of that, I plead not guilty. About a week later came the trial. To prepare for it, the judge ordered a plank to be studded with nails, about 10 nails. Then the plank was positioned with the points of the nails facing up. A policeman came up behind the latah and poked her in the ribs, and he shouted, "Slap those nails." Right away the old lady slapped down on those nails. When she slapped down on the nails, blood began to gush from her hand. The judge had to agree. Truly, this woman is a real latah. This old woman is not guilty. The guilty one is the person who poked her. So the woman who poked the latah was the one who was sentenced to be hanged.
Terima kasih, Pakcik.
Sometimes latahs are teased for a very long time, even if they're obviously exhausted. Watch how Cik Ara is not permitted to escape, and notice how tired she appears.
Anak sembilan bertapak tangan. Lagi jauh berbatu-batu makanan sayang. Makanan sayang. Lagi ke mata jangan, diingati pun jangan. Latahs are startled and teased like this over and over and over again. One way to cope is to accept the role of a latah and play it for all it's worth. After all, a latah is not considered responsible for anything she does after being startled. It's clear that Cik Mun enjoys the clowning that the latah role permits. Notice the eh sound Cik Mun repeatedly makes. It functions as a kind of self-startle, and by signifying that she's been startled, it justifies what she does. Latahs say eh only when performing, and then only when others aren't startling them enough.
Aku dah tak nampak dah apa jalan punya buka. Tak nampak mungkin dah.
Heterosexual men who are latah strongly resist entering the latah state. They don't voluntarily clown or perform. In contrast, homosexual male transvestites who are frequently latahs usually accept the latah role.
Egi, come, Egi. Come. Come, take photo, Egi. Take photo. Call Egi, take photo.
This young man is not from our village, but rather from a nearby city.
Come. Egi. boleh putih butuh keling nono kuat putih kuat nono kuat nono kuat putih kuat butuh keling butuh keling nono putih besar aku tilu besar nono kuat besar nono kuat ibu butuh keling besar nono ai mai sudah lu sama butuh butuh oh my butuh ai mai satu mai satu you satu lagi butuh lu kali butuh lu mai kuat ai sudah lah oh my god buat satu ai
Tajamisa, who earlier described how her lata began, is a dignified woman, so at first becoming fair game for startled teasing wasn't easy for her. But she's learned to cope and even to use the role of being a lata for some teasing of her own. After being interviewed, she offered to let us film a lata performance. The couple you'll see playing with her are her neighbors. Notice how they shape and modulate what she does.
Pasal apa? Orang perempuan
Dia letak macam
pikiran dia banyak, dia susah hati, semua macam itu. Orang
Macam itu.
laki-laki
Macam
tak tahu
mana dia
susah.
buat?
Kali buat macam ni,
Oh.
jaga kau.
Jaga. Tunggu dah. Siap tunggu. Siap tunggu.
Biasa dia kau hajar dia. Biasa dia kau hajar.
Habis kalau dia ajak kanak? Kalau dia ajak kanak?
Boleh.
Dia ni buat ni. Sajak pula.
Aku dah peranjat.
Ya punya.
Orang marah aku.
Macam mana?
Dia marah. Tuan kata sudah diam. Dia kata.
Diam kata dia.
Diam.
Macam mana dia kata diam?
Dia kata diam.
Oh, diam kata dia.
Diam. Sudah. Cukup.
Cukup.
Cukup nak lagi. Sudah. Cukup tu.
Cukup.
Cukup.
Habis kalau kata dia kan?
Kata aku sepak kalau dia.
Oh, sepak dia. Habis tergebang dia dah.
Habis lagi aku buang kan. Habis aku
Emon
buang.
tak?
Memang. Mampus kau. Memang mampus kau.
Boleh gini betul.
Mampus kau. Mampus pula aku dah.
Orang pula dia cuma.
Kau yang datang bawa kemari.
Habis?
Kau kena.
Mampus. Emon lah.
Dia ni usia aku tadi rupanya. Dia ni usia aku tadi rupanya. Aku dah. Dah duduk. Dah aku nak duduk aja. Kau jahat rupanya ya. Kau suruh berjoget lah, kau suruh
duduk,
menyanyi lah, bertandak lah. Ada katak? Tak ada. Oh, katak rupa lagi.
Duduk.
Ada katak tak? Ada katak tidak. Pantas nak. Dah aku duduk je dah.
Sila.
Sila aku penat dah.
Buka cerita.
Aku penat. Orang nak bekerja je tu lah gayanya.
Kerja tadi. Dah lah ambil untuk makan tadi.
Jadilah sikit je.
Dah lah.
Ini makan sirih ni no good lah ni. Mana boleh no good. Makan sirih ni good.
Oh, balik good.
Saya makan sirih lagi good tuan.
Good, balik good.
Salah good kata mak. Aku ala sini good. Oh, Walah cucu kawan. Aku sini. Sini duduk dalam tanah. Sebenam. Kat sini kuat macam kayu. Tolong kau mana? Logat betul. Logat betul. Oh, sorry, ni good kan? Aku kena masuk. Ini good kan? Lagi kan? Ini banyak bagus tuan. Aku mati. Kau nak tengok? Mari. Aku dah Habislah sihir tu kan. Habis sihir aku dah ke laut. Lagi satu kali. Nak tidak ni. Mampuslah kau dah. Ha. Lokok lah kau dah.
Lalu mak.
Apa ni? La ilaha illallah, macam-macam jenis dibawakan aku katak le penggali le nak apanya. Macam-macam. Aku dah sudah apa?
Boleh.
Nanti. Sikit aja ha. Sikit kecil. Dah, pasal aku lagi dah. Aku pun dah nak ke laut.
Pam.
Pam. Dah, lokok dah. Penat aku dah. Puasa aku lagi. Dah lah.
Apa?
Kau dah sudah?
Jenis dia tu.
Bang. Oh, jadi kan kau dia diam je kenapa?
Yalah.
Apa nenek tidur dah?
Tidur sini tidur ni lah.
Tidur. Tidur pula kau.
Ini nak tidur.
Ada yang terlelap ni kan? Terlelap. Kan.
Tidak. Dan diam.
Aku tidur pula.
Rehat sikit.
Orang rehat duduk atas kursi meja. Ini semua tidur, semua duduk.
Apa nak salah? Yang pula saya selalu tidur itu.
Tidur sampai duduk, mahu tak itu? Jahanam kawan. Oh, pula mat kau.
Everyone startles, and everywhere, some people startle more readily and more strongly than others. In this composite film of a laboratory experiment, the two guns behind the women will fire simultaneously. Try to watch both women. The woman on the left is teased by her family and friends. Sometimes they startle her intentionally too, just to see what she'll do. But she's not intentionally startled often, or in public, or by casual acquaintances. I believe that if she were a Malay villager, she would be made into a Latah. However, Malaysia is not the only place where startling readily and strongly has been elaborated in a culture-specific way. The island of Hokkaido in northern Japan, where the Ainu people live, is another. Here are excerpts from a film collected there in 1936. The Ainu people shown are not related either ethnically or culturally to the Malays. You'll see hyper-startling, flustered behavior, hitting, matching, dancing on command, and sexually explicit gestures in this culture-specific elaboration too. Behavior complexes much like latah have been reported from many parts of the world. Wherever hyper-startling persons are startled often and teased, the same behaviors are seen: hitting, matching, obedience, and saying vulgar words. However, the details of what happens, who may startle whom, how the audience modulates what happens and how it is all understood, these are always shaped by a particular cultural setting. Latah, as we've been seeing it in this film, is specific to Malay culture. It's a Malay way of dealing with hyper-startling persons. At weddings and at dances, in this case, at our research project's farewell dance, Malay villagers play with their latah neighbors. Hyper-startling is a physiological state, but latah is an interactive process. It's a culture-specific elaboration of the startle reflex.